everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of All About African Violets. What a week! What a week! I'm kind of glad it's Sunday. It's Sunday morning here in Chicagoland, and if you can see out on the deck there, it's been rainy, and yeah, it's still rainy, and my hammock is still out there. I haven't gotten the summer furniture put back in the garage yet. That's on my to-do list, but I did have a pretty busy week, as you know. Last weekend I was in Tulsa at the Missouri Valley African Violet Council's convention and show, and I just had the best time, you guys. It was so great, and I was so excited to get to share some of it with you, and I hope you enjoyed it. I realized that there was a lot of ambient noise on the tape, and that is true for all of the interviews that I got. I tried to get those done in a quieter location, but you just can't help it when you're at a place like that. There are people walking and coming and going, but I did the best I could, and I will have footage for you in the coming weeks to take a look at. I know that there was some question, did I get more of the violets? And I did not. I concentrated more. I will have info and footage for you on the design sections of the show, those classes, and also the other Gesneriads. And the reason that I concentrated on those was because those are areas that we don't always see. Unless you go to show, and I thought that they would be of the most interest. But in the future, I will certainly try to get more footage of the individual violet classes, at least give you kind of an overview of those. So something very cool has been happening, I think, since that podcast. I've gotten messages from people on Ravelry and other locations. On the website, people are leaving comments, and they're talking about wanting to go to National next year in Austin, or wanting to go to their local state show or a regional show that might happen near them. How cool is that? I'm so excited that it's just such a great hobby that we have, and I'm really excited that some of you are now really seriously thinking about going to National next year. So I believe it's usually the January-February issue of African Violet magazine. They have info in there, and they will say when everything is up on the website for you to be able to register. They used to have what they called the purple pages that were in that magazine itself, but due to cost, everything costs more these days. Due to cost, they don't do that any longer. So everything is available on avsa.org on the website, and it should be up there, in the next few months for next year. So it will be in Austin, Texas. It's called Violets Dance Across Texas, I think that's the name. Anyway, that's very cool, and it's my plan to be there. I don't know if I'll have plants to take, but you never know. I will try. I'm going to try to have plants for the Illinois show next year in 2013 as well. So I'm just sort of kind of looking at my notes over here to make sure I cover everything. It's, I think I've said this before, but this is really my favorite time of year. I don't mind a rainy day. This is I have my very favorite corduroy shirt on, and it's kind of old, and the more I wash it, the softer it gets, and it's kind of warm. It's not that cold this weekend. Actually, it warmed up a little bit here yesterday. It had been chilly all week. So, but this is just my favorite time of year, and I'm glad to have this day to spend part of it with you guys and show you what's happening. One of the things that's kind of new that I wanted to share with you is I'm creating, and it should be up there very shortly if it's not there already on the website. I thought it might be useful to create a kind of an episode index. It will be one of the tabs along the top there where it has, the podcast, Annie, Ted Yoder, or the music, I think it says, and all of that information. I'm going to put a tab there that summarizes each episode and puts a link directly to it. I think that might help. I realized that the more episodes I do, it's sometimes harder to remember when I talked about something. And this might be helpful, particularly for people who might just be joining the podcast or didn't start at the beginning or are just looking for something specific. So that's kind of new, and that'll be up there. So welcome to my sunroom. I should have said that first. I got discombobulated. I also should have told you that All About African Violets is musically sponsored by Ted Yoder, and you can find his and hear his wonderful music and purchase it, if you should choose to, on his website at tedyoder.com. So let's move on to tips and treasures, because I got some treasure in the mail this week, and this is exciting for me. And I've mentioned this to you before, but I am a judge. I am an AVSA judge, and I started, like every judge does, as a student judge. And you have to be a student judge for, gosh, I don't even know how many years to be a student judge. And then you're an advanced judge, and I think you have to be an advanced judge. I think you're a student judge for 3 years. I should have pulled my handbook out and looked. And I think then you're an advanced judge for 9 years, at least, before you can take your first senior judge's exam. And the senior judge's exams, for the first 3, you take one every year. And they are open book. The test is 12 pages long. And you have to put your answers to the questions, but not only your answers, but the page number in the handbook where you found the answer. And once you have completed those 3 tests, the one after another, you receive what's called your permanent gold card. So it's not an American Express card, it's a permanent gold card. And I got mine this week, and I'm so excited. So this is my permanent gold card. I don't know that bestows any special status upon me. It just means I have a gold card, and I'm excited about it. Here's my test, my 2012 senior exam, and I'm excited because Meredith Hall, who is the woman who administers the tests and is in charge of that, she wrote excellent on mine. I got 100%. I got them all right. So that's actually very exciting for me. And there was a question about my being able to continue. I thought I was going to be jammed up for a year because, as you know, I started over earlier this year, and I didn't have the required blue ribbons. You have to have ribbons, to prove that you're growing plants and that you can grow plants well. And I didn't have them, but I got them last weekend at Missouri Valley, as you guys saw on last week's episode. So I emailed right away and said, I got my ribbons. And she said, oh, good, I can send your card with your exam when I send it back. Otherwise, they would have held my exam and my card, and I would not have been able to judge if I were to be asked to judge. And in fact, I was asked at the last minute, could I judge last weekend? And I had to say, I don't think I can, because I didn't get my ribbons and my test is in, and I haven't got anything back yet, and I don't know, yet if I will have ribbons. So I try to follow the rules, But, something came up. Someone emailed me about judging school because they were really interested, and someone had mentioned to them that it really wasn't for beginners. And I disagree with that. I think that judging school is for anyone who has an interest in these wonderful plants that we grow. I myself had no intention, and I may have shared this story with you before, but I had no intention of becoming a judge. I went to judging school when I was in Southern California, when I was still a member of Ventura. Hi, you guys, if you're watching, hi. The Southern California Council sponsored a judging school every year, or they sponsored it if an affiliate didn't step up to sponsor it. They made sure that there was a judging school every year, and these are the schools that you attend to be a student judge and an advanced judge. You go to judging school for that. And the only reason I went was because I wanted to find out what the judges looked for in my show plants so that I could grow better plants. I had no intention of even taking the test when I was there, because you can pay a small fee and audit the class and not take the test. But, my friends who were there said, oh, Annie, just take the test. Just go ahead. Just take it. You sat through the whole class, and why don't you just take the test? So I did, and I passed. And then, so I was like, well, I'm a student judge. Well, I had no plans to judge at all. And then the next thing I knew, I was invited to judge a show, and I do remember telling you this now, my first show. I remember it very well. It was the Pomona Valley show, and it was really wonderful, and I had a great time, and things progressed from there. I was very lucky to have been invited to judge a lot of shows, sometimes 5 a year in Southern California. There used to be a lot of shows. I don't know if there are that many happening there at this time, but I got a lot of experience in a very short period of time, and I learned from some very, very wise, knowledgeable, and highly experienced people, because when you are a student judge, you must judge on a panel. Well, everyone, you always judge on a panel. It's a panel of 3 judges, only one of whom can be a student judge. The other judges have to be either an advanced judge, a senior judge, or a master judge. So I had the great good fortune to be judging as a student with senior and master judges in Southern California. And there's nothing like that. There is no substitute for that kind of experience. So if you have an interest, even if it's just to learn more about what the judges look for in your plants, I would really encourage you, if there is a judging school held locally to you through one of the local affiliates near you, or a state or a regional organization, you can sign up for that. And there's always judging school at National, and taught by awesome people usually at National. So if you are considering going to National next year, you might want to take an extra day and sign up for judging school and have that experience. I really encourage that if it's something that you have an interest in. And in the meantime, though, pick up a copy of the AVSA handbook for growers, exhibitors, and judges. I've got a link to it over on the sidebar of the website. It's available directly from the AVSA, and I believe it's available to AVSA members at a reduced price. So that's a really good reason for you to join the AVSA. Plus, then you get the magazine, and it's awesome. And I think it costs less than to go to National if you're a member of the AVSA. So now's the time. Anyway, so we're talking about tips and treasures. That came in the mail, and I was very excited to get it. And also, I wanted to ask you guys, what did you think about Biscayne Trail? We talked about that 2 weeks ago, and we talked about girl leaves. Actually, we've been talking about girl leaves for quite a while. And then last week, Kent Stork happened to have a plant of Biscayne Trail, and I was like, don't sell that one yet, because people were buying what he brought. I mean, as fast as I could move it to the table for him, people were buying the plants and they were gone. So I said, hold on to the Biscayne Trail, because I want to record I want to film it for the podcast. So could you see how different the leaves look and how it kind of bunches up together? Girl leaves they do not want to behave for show the way a regular leaf will. The most that I've seen them behave are on minis. I don't know why that is, if that is something that has to do with just the fact that they don't ever get that big. But the best plants that I've seen, single crowned violets that I've seen that have grown leaves, are minis. I know Persian Prince is one, and it won at National a few years ago. And I believe there were a couple of others in the show. I can't think of them right offhand, but they were minis with a single crown, not trailers. But Biscayne Trail, obviously, it's a trailer. And I hope you enjoyed really seeing that, because it looks so different from what we're used to seeing, like a violet from a big box store, or the other violets that you've seen on my stands, or even at the show last week. So I did forget to look for different blossoms to share with you, and I apologize for that. But there is good information about that in the Judge's Handbook. We call that the Judge's Handbook in the vernacular, but you'll notice the whole title is the AVSA Handbook for Growers, Exhibitors, and then Judges. So that book is not just for judges, it's for everyone, and it is a tremendous resource. As I've mentioned before, it's in my top 3 books. That's a book you should have on your shelf. So somebody asked me on the website, and it was either Kitty Bow or it might have been Pedal Pusher, who said, what happens now? What do you do after the show? Well, I shot a little footage of that. It's pretty short, but I will show it to you now. Well, guys, it's really all over now, and the show's breaking down, and people are picking things up, and here I am. Here are my 4 plants. So now, what happens? Well, they all have to go somewhere, and I need to clean them up. All of the blossoms will come off. So it's going to be kind of hard to do this with one hand. I think I'll do it on Western Moon. It might be easier for you to see. But they're not going to cooperate. Here's what I'm going to do. I will disbud them all and show them to you in a moment. Well, that's what they look like. And this is what they look like now. And I'm going to, oh, the light is a little better. That's great. I'm going to actually take a few more leaves off of everything, and then I'm going to, they aren't going to go home in the tub that they came in. They're going to go home in plastic bags in my carry-on, but not in the tub, because now they don't have to be, I still want them to make it home safely, but it's not going to be quite as momentous an event. I'll show you what they look like in a moment. Here they all are with a little stash of leaves taken off them, and I'm going to bag them up right now. And this is how they look. They're all in bags, and they're just going to go home like this. I will, oops, I knocked them over, but I will pick them all, get them all kind of together, and they'll sit in my bag and they'll be fine. And if they bump over, it won't hurt them because they're on their way home. All right, that's what it looks like, and now I'll give you one more look, and you can see everybody's packing up and things are going home. Getting ready for the next show. It's kind of sad, isn't it, when you see the blossoms, they're all gone. You're like, they're all gone. All that work, done. But the reason that I do that, and I do it in the showroom before I even leave, I don't even bring them home with blossoms, is that if a hitchhiker is going to try to come home with you, it's more than likely going to try to come home on a blossom. So I even get the little buds, that might be still coming up. Everything goes. And in my case, I did take a row of leaves off each plant, and I bagged them up. And it's so funny, because they can be in those plastic bags and then come home. And in fact, they sat in them for a few days once they were here. Those 4 plants are now being isolated on a lower shelf back in the guest room. The only other plants that are in there are the 3 that didn't make it for show, that are still up on the top shelf. I am going to let them come into bloom just to make sure that they are blooming true. And then they will just go on their merry way and be disbudded, and hopefully I will be able to use them for show going forward in the next year. I will isolate these plants for 9 to 12 weeks on that shelf all by themselves, and they're not with the other plants that are being isolated on the shelf that used to be in the sunroom, and you'll see now that those are actually down in the basement. I didn't put them with them because they might have brought something with them. It's highly unlikely that anything crawled along and crawled up and got into the dirt. That just, particularly since they weren't really near much of anything else. So that's what happens when you come home from show, or at least when I do. Some people, I have in the past just taken a leaf of a plant and not brought the plant home. It just depends on the plant, on how I feel about it, how I feel, what I want to do. Because I have so few plants at this time, I did bring these home, and I'm going to coddle them a little more and hopefully get them in good shape again for next year. Things are growing on the stands. It's time to take a look at what's on the stands. So things are looking a little different, and I'll see you on the other side. Well, there are 4 plants here. How do I always get the number wrong? But these are the 4 that didn't go to show, and they are, here's Optimara, little Comanche girl, and I don't know if you can see, but there is a blossom coming up there, and let's see, little Creek girl, not blooming. Sultan, just not looking that great. I don't know about Sultan, we'll see. And as I walk around, oh, I guess I think I should have turned the light on in here. Yeah, that helps, doesn't it? Sorry about that. Here is little Inca Girl, and little Inca Girl is getting ready to bloom. It's going to be a beautiful purple blossom, and I think this is going to be a great plant. And I just wanted to show you, this is one of the reasons that I don't like these particular reservoirs that I was using, is because if they get algae on them, as this particular one did, because of their shape, they are very hard to clean. So I only have a few, and I don't use them all the time. And here, down here, a shelf away, let's see, we've got a tape measure, a couple of tape measures and things over there, but we also have the 4 plants that went to Tulsa. They look a little sorry right now, but they'll be back in shape pretty soon. Let's go take a look in the basement. I just wanted to show you my sign. I know the color looks really bizarre, but that's my little secret garden sign, and it's at the top of the wall at the bottom of the basement stairs. And so now there's the stand. And as you remember, I have a basement, so nothing's looking too exciting down here. But here are the plants, the trailers that used to be upstairs. And I've let this trailer is, oops, I'm sorry, I pulled it right out of the screen. It's called Sushi, and it is in bloom, and it's a nice little bloom, and I will check with First Class 2 and make sure that it is blooming true. I like how it looks. Everything else is looking good. Ramblin' Sunshine over here is getting ready to bloom. Hopefully it will bloom true. And here are the plantlets that were upstairs. And you can kind of see, well, I got a Sharpie stuck here, and actually it's time now to take this off. These guys were covered up for quite a while, well, more than a week actually, and then I put that little pen in there, and you can see everybody's kind of leaning toward the light. They're all leaning this way, which means that probably I'll just pick the tray up and turn the whole thing around. But it's time for them to, I was hardening them off. I left them under a dome once I repotted them, just for a little while to let them get their feet, so to speak. And now it's time for them to start growing on their own. So I will leave them in this community tray for a little while longer, and then we'll see. They will eat. Again, this is how it always goes. They'll either make it or they won't. And then I will move them on. This one is ready, Optimara Hawaii, ready to go to its own saucer, as is this one, I think, which is Optimara Little Comanche Girl, which we also have upstairs. So now, here's what's going on over here. There are plenty more getting ready for me to separate them. So things are going good there. A couple little leaves I brought home with me from Missouri. And in the other tray, same thing. This one is hard to pick up, guys. Oh, there, I got it. And I moved things around. I'm sure maybe you can tell that. This tray has things that are not growing quite as quickly. And I'm not sure if that's a function of this dome or not. But it seems to me that my old plastic dome that I just got at the local, nursery, or are available from the Violet Showcase in Colorado, the plants seem to be doing better in this one. I don't really know if that's the case or not, because I really like this dome because it has those cool vents. Anyway, that's what's going on the stands this week, and I'm going to head back upstairs and let's go take a look at our big box violet. Wow, look at it. It is gorgeous. It is taking its time blooming. It looks beautiful. I'm going to turn it a little bit. It's really growing. It's happy in this little greenhouse that's open. And we've got 2 good-sized blossom stalks there. The soil is wet like it should be. And there's plenty in there, as you can see. Oops, here we go. The one little leaf that was a little bit wonky looking over here, It's grown out just fine, and this plant's not going to show, so I'm going to leave alone. So guys, I would say that our little experiment of growing a big box violet in a self-watering pot that was actually too big for it initially has gone pretty well. So we know it can be done. We'll still take a look at it every week though, because it's so pretty. I really like it. And it will be interesting to see if it continues to bloom in the months to come. All right, I'll be right back. Can you believe how great the big box violet looks? I mean, it's beautiful. I am so happy that that experiment has been going so well. It will be interesting to me to see how it, if once those blossoms are spent, if it will stay in bloom. We'll see. Winter's coming, the days are getting shorter, and it's in natural light. So we'll just let it do its thing. And one thing that I forgot to share with you, I got these at National. They're called Houseplant Sticky Stakes. They're made by Safer. And I'm going to put one of these on the shelf where I'm isolating those 4 plants that came home from National. I used to isolate in my second bathroom, and I had a spray that I would spray in the air that would kill flying bugs, and I would spray it up in the air and then let it fall down on the plants. You have to be really careful with an aerosol spray because it's cold and it will kill them. Ask me how I know. If you spray it right on them, that's it, they're done. But I didn't put those 4 in the bathroom this time. There's so little. So they're small plants. They don't have a lot of leaves. They have no blossoms whatsoever, and I will continue to pull the blossoms, as I go. Now, I just got the blinky light for my battery, so hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I try to make sure the battery is fully charged. I must have talked a lot earlier and used it up. Anyway, we were talking about isolating, and I will isolate those. I don't spray. The spray I really liked is no longer made. It was called Bioganic, and I used to get it in Southern California, and they had one for crawly bugs and one for flying bugs, and it was a natural spray that worked very well, and unfortunately it's no longer available. So I've done a couple of different things, not brought things home as I've mentioned, or I wanted to try using again these Safer sticky traps. Really, these are good for anything that's flying. So like little fungus gnats, little stuff like that, anything that's going on. But I don't anticipate any problems, but I'm still going to isolate them on that shelf all by themselves for a while. And someone asked me, you saw all those baby plantlets. Somebody said to me, what are you going to do? Actually, I think Kitty asked this, Kitty Bow said, what are you going to do with all those babies? Because she's right. She also said that a leaf often gives you more than one. So yeah, that's true. That's very true. So I will probably keep 1 or 2 max of each one that I pot up. I will give some away. I will take them. Gary Makita from Gary's Out of Africa he does not live that far away from me, and I have shared plantlets with him before that he will then grow on and then propagate because that's his business. And so some of them will probably end up with Gary. Some will be, if I can get them, we'll see how they do in the next few weeks. They may be at the Illinois African Violet Society's fall get-together, which brings me to get the bail money ready. There is not much bail money needed for me in the coming weeks, although the Illinois is plural, possessive there. Sorry, it sounds like I don't know how to pronounce my own state. But I should say the Illinois African Violet Society's fall get-together is on Saturday. It's, I believe, November 3rd, that is. And that info is on the AVSA website. So under events, if you have an interest, if you're in the area, and that's something you would like to attend, the cost is $15, and it's for a whole day. And the Storks, Joyce and Kent Stork, will be here. They will be our speakers, and will be 2 great programs and a yummy lunch. There'll be a silent auction. Kent will have plants for sale, and Gary Makita will also have plants for sale. So I think it's going to be a great event. But something else, it's not really bail money related, but I only came home with a couple of leaves, from National, but I did show great restraint in the sales room. And part of that is because I had to fly. And that is always challenging, as you already know, based on last week's episode. But someone has offered me, some wonderful plants to add some things back to my collection that I had lost earlier this year, and to send me some other things. And they should be coming in the mail in the coming weeks. So I will tell you more about those next week. And which really kind of takes us to keep moving forward. It has been a beautiful week here. It is fall in Chicagoland for sure. And I'm really glad that you guys are watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for telling your friends. We have 70 likes on the Facebook page now, which is just really exciting to me. And I can see that people all over the world are seeing and watching the episodes. All About African Violets is, of course, available on the website. There is an RSS feed there. If you want to subscribe through that, you can. It's also available on Blip TV, and I believe you can subscribe on Blip TV as well. And, of course, also available on iTunes. You can subscribe and download it as a podcast, and there is no charge for it. And if you do it on iTunes, it goes right to your device of choice, your iPad, your iPod, your iPhone, wherever it is that you watch stuff. So thank you for being with me. I hope you guys have a great week ahead. I hope your days are filled with all the things you love. Good growing. See you next time.